If you want your woman to be loyal, soft and feminine around you, like fundamentally switch off her survival instincts and be this little passenger princess around you, you need to learn how to create an Aphrodite and Hercules against the world kind of dynamic. That will create an unbreakable emotional bond between you two so that she will never leave you and will be all over you 24/7. But she will also give you space, but no drama and peace. Why is this so powerful? Because it taps into the three most deepest desires and human needs that is within every woman. The need for meaning, belonging, and fun. I'm going to teach you exactly how to trigger all those so that she will never want to leave you. Brick number one is meaning. Meaning refers back to the purpose, your why. Every great company, every great man, every great team has a purpose. It's bigger than themselves. SpaceX, for example, it's not about making more money. It's about revolutionizing space travel. Alex and Lila Hormozi, greatness is a choice. If it works in business, if it works in sports, it will also work in romantic relationships. You know why? What's the common denominator of a sports team, a company, and a romantic relationship? Humans. So how do you create a sense of meaning, a sense of a shared goal, a shared identity in your relationship? Well, you got to ask yourself, like, what do we want to create together? What do we stand for? What kind of relationship do we want to create? Because your meaning, the why of the relationship, becomes the North Star, basically, for all the actions and all behaviors within the relationship. For example, if you want to create the greatest relationship possible, you don't want to be an average couple, you want to be the couple, you got to ask yourself, okay, what are the behaviors that we would need to display every single fucking day to make that happen? And suddenly you realize, well, we can't lash out at each other. We can't yell at each other because that would go against the purpose of our relationship. It would go against the goal that we have. But you gotta ask yourself, why do we want such a relationship? Well, because it appeals to status. If you look at the average relationship, bro, most men are fucking unhappy. I would never ever trade with their relationship. They're with a nagging, complaining, bitching boss babe. I had that once in my life, never again. I never ever had a problem with boss babes again because I learned how to become a Hercules who keeps these kind of women in check and empowers them to be feminine. And if I flip that back to my girlfriends, it's like, yeah, well, Sandra, do you want a relationship which is full of hate and anger and resentment? No. Well, then we have a shared goal here. How can we make that happen? And once you start having kids, which I don't have yet, but I will in the future, you fundamentally, your why evolves. It's not only about protecting a relationship, it's about protecting the community, being great role models for your kids. Because, for example, if you're like me, I grew up with my grandma because she raised me because my parents were a bit messed up in the head. They gave me up for adoption. But the reason why I'm so obsessed with psychology and the job that I'm doing is because I've experienced the downside of growing up with parents or growing up without them, or the downside of a bad relationship, of an average relationship. And I bring that kind of sense of purpose, my inner purpose, I bring that into the relationship. Which brings me to the next stage. Meaning creates the foundation for belonging. Every human being has a need for belonging. That's why we have communities, running events, High Rocks, CrossFit, Liverpool, Madrid, Apple versus Samsung. It's all belonging, tribalism. Create the same dynamic in your relationship, bro. How do we do that? There are various ways of doing that. My favorite ways are shared language. For example, GIFs, memes. I use a lot of Pudgy Penguins GIFs. That makes me stand out. Then shared language. We create, so with Sandra and I, we have created our own language. We use certain words that no one else will understand. Specific nicknames are extremely powerful. So a lot of guys, they will just call their girlfriend, hey babe, hey princess, whatever. That's fucking generic. Go beyond. For example, with Sandra, I call her Bambi. Why do I call her Bambi? Well, there's meaning behind that. Sandra is brunette. She has these reindeer or deer eyes, big eyes. And when she walks, she flows, She's a dancer. Dancers are fucking sexy. I love dance. And for me, that reminded me of a deer. I mean, that's a fucking horse, but you get the meaning. So that's why I call her Bambi. There's deep meaning behind the nickname. That creates shared identity because we have a uniqueness. We have created this uniqueness in us. Then on top of that, you need to focus on creating a shared enemy. You have to have something that you stand against and stand for. Sandra and I despise the pronoun game. They're not right in the head, bro. So we make fun of them. When we see them, Sandra, I will never forget when Sandra and I were walking in Marbella and we saw a tranny and it was a bit over the top. She was like, no, I need to cross the street. And I made fun of that. It's this guy looks like a fucking clown. And then we crossed the street. When we see some of them, we're like, hey, Sandra, look. the weirdo is there, you know, another like zombie. And yes, it's judgmental, but who cares? Everyone judges. Like, I don't agree with this new age soft group of like, oh, remove all judgment. We all judge to some degree. It's deeply innate. It's a protective mechanism, bro. Have some more fucking fun. Don't be so serious all the time, bro. Then on top of that, we have a lot of shared values. So Sandra and I, we don't really drink. Sandra has a glass of wine once in a while with a steak. I don't drink. I haven't been drinking for like 3 years. We stand for healthy living. Like, I never forget, Sandra and I, we sat in a coffee shop in Montenegro, in a hotel we always went to. And the waiter brought like the bottle of Coke, which we don't drink. We drink water, ginger smoothies, and that's it, coffee. He misunderstood our order. We said coffee, he understood cola. And we were both in shock when he brought that, because the bottle of Coke, because we thought like that was basically a complete utter violation of our like principles. I literally thought like, do I need to break up with this girl? And Sandra thought the same. And we laughed so hard when we experienced it, because like, I thought I had to break up with you soon, you know, because you're like, what the fuck? I can't be with someone who drinks Coca-Cola. Again, that creates a sense of belonging, because we basically, then on top of that, what you can do is, I have a theme around us being not an average couple. So everything that we do is about being healthy. Then I create sense of belonging by like these stuffed animals. I'm a big penguin fan, Sandra as well, especially when I showed her the penguins in Cape Town. So I get her like stuffed animals. So she has like one specific stuffed animal, which also gets a name. This is Penkillis, this is Penkillis Jr., and then she has a panda, which is called Pandakillis. This is basically a replica of a family. That is fundamentally a subconscious approach to the music. Now, every time she travels, she takes that Pandakillis with her. That makes her feel safe. It always reminds her of us. Belonging fundamentally means, do I feel safe with this person? Does this person understand me? Can I be my true, authentic self around them? Another way that you can create a belonging or create this sense of belonging in her is like come up with like a slogan, for example. Nike has just do it. Bayern Munich has Mia San Mia. Barcelona has Musky on club. I don't know, more than a club. No one is greater than a club. Liverpool, you'll never walk alone. Sandra and I, we have this principle of fuck average couple. That's our slogan. All our actions and the entire behavior is geared towards never ever falling into the trap of creating a fucking average relationship, which means we can hold ourselves to this standard. And that leads me to the next part, fun. Fun, bro. You need more fun in your life and in your relationship. This is the biggest issue that I see in so many relationships because of therapy speak, because of being anxious. I know so many of my clients, bro, like they spiral when she doesn't text back, right? She's like, oh my gosh, she hasn't texted me in 2 hours. Who do you think she is? Or maybe she's cheating. Maybe she's leaving me. And then they get so stuck in their head, they can't be playful anymore. Or everything has to be logical. Like she comes back home from a bad day. She says, oh, I'm having such a bad day. And you say, oh my gosh, I need to fix this. Oh, have you tried X, Y, Z? By the way, man, if you like what you're seeing here and you want to create this kind of dynamic in your relationship, you want to become that Hercules in your relationship, I'd love to work with you. Click the link below, apply for a call with me, and then we'll take it from there. Instead, you need to tease her more. You need to be more lighthearted again. How can you do that, for example, in the context of triggers? Because in your relationship, you will get triggered eventually. I'm not perfect. I have my own triggers. However, you need to gamify the solving or the solution or resolution of those problems and triggers. A lot of couples, they make this mistake of taking everything personal. And then it becomes heavy. And then we have to have a therapy talk about this. Oh my gosh. Instead, you got to gamify the process by saying, hey, Sandra, I'm triggered. How can we solve this? Oh, Sandra, you know what? You pissed me off earlier when you didn't clean the dishes. I've asked you 3 times. Well, whatever. Duh. So how can we solve this?
Sandra, are you trying to kill me? Are you trying to give me a heart attack? What kind of arrangement is this? Like, what are you on? Like, are you actually trying to give me a heart attack? That doesn't make any sense. Look, balls here. What the hell? No. Balls here. Lids. Why is the lid from this box not even next to it? No, it goes here. This thing goes here. Black. Plate belongs to plate. Random shit. Random shit. I know what you're trying to do. And you're trying to kill me. Not gonna work. Nice try.
I say with a smile, bro, like you have, when it comes to frequency, the highest vibration is love and joy, right? Anger, shame, and guilt is at the bottom. The problem has already occurred. I have two choices now. Either I can be angry about the thing that has happened already, or I can try to resolve it by being happy about that it happened. I always choose love and joy, because if you think about it, a trigger is a growth opportunity. If everything would be perfect, picture perfect in your relationship, there would nothing be to be solved. You enjoy video games because there's a new challenge to be solved that releases dopamine. If there's no problem, if there's no trigger, there's never ever going to be a dopamine release in the future because you don't have a challenge ahead of you. So if you gamify triggers in a relationship as the means of how can we solve this, how can we turn this into a challenge that is fun, how can we solve the puzzle or the riddle, bro, it becomes so much more lighthearted. And that makes you vibrate or radiate on a higher vibration, and higher vibration is super magnetic. Keep in mind that women always will respond to your frame. The stronger your frame, the more leadership frame you have, the more they will follow. It's in the feminine's nature. I'm not saying that she has to be a fucking trad wife or whatever. Of course she can be a career woman. At home, however, she can be like a follower. She wants to be a follower at home. She wants to be a queen. She doesn't want to be a king at home as well. And you activate her queen energy by being more lighthearted and fun. That's when she becomes giggly again. Like on top of like resolving triggers through gamification, you can also start like rage baiting her a bit more again. Tickle her, annoy her a bit more, man. That creates a duality of emotions. Meaning and belonging makes her feel safe and secure. And because we have created this foundation, we can now also focus on creating a bit more, injecting a bit more thrill. Thrill through tension. Love is created in love and security. Attraction is created in thrill as contrast to love. Call her troublemaker when she drops something. Oh my gosh, princess, again, Sandra, come on. You're so annoying sometimes. Why am I with you? Man, you're adding so much gray hair to my life. You say, leave me alone. No. Yeah, you're cute. You're such a cute trouble. For example, I had a client of mine, like his girlfriend, like was shit testing him. She was bitching, like, why are you eating peas? You should be eating spinach. And he said, then he started explaining, like logically, through explaining the micronutrients and the macros as to why he was eating fucking peas. And I told her, bro, like, why don't you just say, like, you know what? Today I'm eating peas because I want to piss you off. That's a perfectly illogical response that would create fun. That would tell her, like, he's so annoying. That creates thrill. You need to annoy her a little bit. Every woman wants that. Integrate meaning, belonging, and fun into your relationship. That creates an Aphrodite versus Hercules energy, and she will never fucking leave you.